Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Behind the Reel podcast. This is episode number 60. We've got 59 of these bad boys behind us here. Appreciate you guys all supporting us along the way and tuning in week in and week out. I know we've been kind of on and off, and we'll skip weeks here and there, but I've been trying to do this more regularly. I don't know, for the last few weeks at least. We kind of go on a little hiatus every now and then, but we're just going to keep rolling with the punches here and try to keep showing up every week and giving you somebody else to hear from and introducing you to people from right here in the Kansas area and people from all over the country. So if you guys are tuning in for the very first time, I want to thank you for joining and urge you to hit that subscribe button. We do this nearly every week. We've got some other cool stuff going on. If you are into Humminbird electronics, I got some videos there, and put some on the water videos on there every now and then. But today we've got Tim Segraves on to talk about the Kansas Bass Nation Kayak Anglers State Championship. And so Tim actually won that event and qualified to fish the national championship, the Bass Nation National Championship, which is going to be held at Chickamauga Lake. So pretty cool opportunity to be able to do that right here at home. And those opportunities should be somewhere near you as well. So no matter what state you're in, there should be an opportunity to go qualify to fish the state championship, which Tim did, and then he ended up winning that all at Bone Creek just this last Saturday. So we will talk about that. We will get into how he was able to come away with the winning limit on a very tough day. I do want to mention here, going to give a little shout out to one of our sponsors. My lighting's a little funky right now. To Beard Unlimited. And this is a brand that has sponsored the Air Capital Kayak Anglers as well as the Kansas Kayak Anglers. And this is actually a product that I recently started using. And this is their beard wash. And I've used their oil and stuff. A lot of you guys have had an opportunity to take some home. We've given away as prizes. And this beard wash has been a game changer. And I don't mean to brag, but my beard game is on point right now, thanks to these guys. I want to shout them out because they're supporting grassroots kayak fishing. The owner of the company is a kayak angler as well. And hopefully a lot of these Kansas kayak anglers and Kansas Bass Nation folks get a chance to meet him on the water one of these days. He does more behind-the-scenes stuff, not a big tournament guy, but he's one of us. So if you guys are interested in some beard products, go check out Beard Unlimited. They come highly recommended. And also, one more shameless plug, Behind the Reel. Check that out. I believe I have the link in the description below if you guys want to get some Behind the Reel gear. And you can get a hat just like this one. I believe I've got at least one more color option on there. And we've got some t-shirts as well. So any little bit helps. So that would definitely help support the channel. I just like seeing you guys wearing it, and people ask you, they see it, they ask about it. It'll help grow the channel one way or the other. Probably not going to get rich off of selling these hats, but you're certainly going to look cool wearing one. Oh, shoot. Fire Jumping Jordan says he's ordering his right now. So apparently us going live here reminded him that he needed to get himself a hat. Now, I do also want to, while I'm thinking about it, I do also want to shout out Dusty Jackson, which was our last guest on the show, and Big Fish Bullies. Big Fish Bullies sponsored the last video, and we gave away a hat and a shirt, and Fire Jumping Jordan over there ended up winning the shirt. So shout out to Big Fish Bullies. If you're looking for another company to support, especially if you're into fishing big baits, go support those guys. Big Fish Bullies, I believe it was bigfishbullies.com. I did link that one in the last video as well. So anybody that is willing to give back to this community, I am all in on supporting them. So see, there's a few of you guys over there. I do want to mention for the folks that are watching, if you have any specific questions that you would like to ask Tim tonight, go ahead and put that over in the live comment feed over there, and we will get to those just as quick as we can. We do like to engage with the listeners here, and that's why we have been doing this as a live podcast for quite some time now. So make sure if you have any questions, put that over there in the live comment section, and we will keep an eye on that. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Tim on the line here, and we will just get right to it. How's it going, man?
Hey, John. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. So we all know that you are the winner, and we will get to that before too long. We have had you on the podcast before. I believe it was the Wilson event where we had the 3 or something like that on there, and you came on. So folks got a chance to meet you, but some people are going to be meeting you for the first time tonight. So if you want to just maybe give a brief introduction and then tell us kind of what got you into the kayak fishing thing and maybe where you got your start fishing altogether. And then we can just kind of take it from there.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, my start fishing was about as young as you can imagine. There's a picture of me sitting in a stroller at like 2 years old holding a fishing pole from my dad taking me out. Grew up in central Kansas out in Great Bend, so fished out at Lake Wilson a lot. But as a kid, it was mostly like walleye and crappie, not really targeting bass for the most part. And then, kind of fished through, I don't know, into high school probably, but then kind of through college and, after college, didn't fish a whole lot. Lived out in Colorado for about 11 years and then moved back here in 2017. It was not too long after that. My brother Austin, he got a kayak and was fishing out of a kayak. I think it was a Jackson Big Rig. And, I always thought that was pretty cool. I was like, I don't really need a kayak. I'll just fish from the bank. And I was kind of getting back into it. And then pandemic hits. And, I think that brought a lot of people into the kayak fishing. And, that was when I was like, well, I need a new hobby that I can kind of do outside. And so I picked up a bona fide SS127 off eBay for a good price. And that's kind of how I got started. So.
Okay. So like 2020-ish?
Yeah, March or April of 2020, I think. Yeah, so.
Okay. I didn't realize. See, and I was used to seeing the Segraves name, right? It had would you say your brother?
Well, yeah, Austin Applegate, he's half brother.
Gotcha.
He kind of had the kayak first, and then Todd Segraves is our other brother. There's the three of us.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I thought she'd been around. Maybe I was just telling myself that because I don't want to admit to being getting my butt kicked by the new guy. But so back in 2020, so kind of pandemic stuff started. A lot of people were introduced to fishing or kayak fishing in that time frame. What was it for you? Just wanting to get out and get out of the house type of thing, or?
Yeah, a lot of that, and like I said, Austin was kind of doing it, and we'd start going out together, and it was just kind of fun to get a fish, different areas, and I think I didn't realize how horrible it is bank fishing, and not that it's bad, but I would lose so many baits, because you can't go out and retrieve it when you get snagged, right? Whereas you got a kayak, you can kind of, most of the time, get your bait back, and so just definitely made it more enjoyable getting to go to less pressured areas of the lake and stuff like that. So.
Sure. Okay. Heck yeah. And then, so you said you started out with a bona fide, and now you're in a Hobie, right?
Yep. I had the bona fide, and I ended up putting on a XI3 motor guide on that. And it was nice, but I also kind of missed the simplicity of like not like having to like add the motor and get the
Yep.
battery. Just launching the boat took an extra 10 or 15 minutes, just kind of making sure you had everything kind of ready to go. So um, yeah, so I actually ended up trading the Bonafide with the motor to a guy who had the PA 14. I think he was out of Minnesota, and traded him boats and some cash as well. So
Nice. Yeah, I've been fishing out of Justin's Pro Angler, and it's got the trolling motor on it, and it's nice once you get it on the water. I'll say that.
yeah.
It's a little bit more of a pain, kind of getting it in the truck and doing all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. That it really does. It really it can get in the way. It can make hauling that thing, um, especially up the ramp at Bone Creek or some of those other ramps where they're kind of isolated, where you got to drag the boat up the ramp. I was really second guessing myself at Bone Creek there. Luckily, Scott was there to help me out.
Yeah.
But Danny says, congratulations on the big win there.
Thanks.
So is this your first year with the Kansas Bass Nation Kayak Anglers?
Yep. Yeah. First year doing that. So.
And I'm assuming that this was the goal the whole time, obviously. Really the
Yeah.
main.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's probably like to get to go fish on like a national event like the classic. Probably easier to go this route than win one of the Bass like Trail Series events like
Yeah.
Daniel
Danny.
won
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Danny, he took second place, I believe, at Grand, I want to say.
Okay.
And pretty impressive deal that oh man, I'm just drawing a blank here, but I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on that, but yeah, pretty impressive second place win there at Grand Lake in order to qualify. So I'm not sure how they do it. I'm not sure how many qualify, but it's probably a pretty small number, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would think so.
So yeah, I mean at this, this year I went back and added it up, and it was 16. So we had 16 anglers that you would potentially be competing with. We ended up only having 10 show up. So how they do that is they are going to send the top 10% from the state championship. So we were able to send one this year. So the goal is to, maybe in the future be able to send more people. But in order to send more people, we've got to basically just get more people to sign up and fish with us. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be a cool experience, I'm sure, to go fish Chickamauga. Is it going to be your first time going there?
Yep, definitely. I'm planning on trying to spend about a week there and, get a good 2 to 3 days of pre-fishing in. So it'd be cool to check out some different areas.
Yeah, heck yeah. It's definitely a destination lake, one that a lot of people would tell you need to cross off the list for sure.
Totally.
Bass and FLW and all those places seem to frequent that place. And I want to say there's some pretty good smallmouth in there. I'm not sure exactly. Is it like a ledge fishing lake or?
Yeah, from the little bit of research I've done and just kind of watching videos in the past, there's definitely a ledge aspect. It sounds like that's more of a like summertime thing when the bass kind of pull off onto deeper water. And with this event being in late March, it's going to be probably pretty transitiony where they're pulling from maybe deeper water up to pre-spawn areas and stuff like that. So probably be very dependent on the weather, right around that time as well, and water temps, and it'll be interesting.
A little different than Kansas.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, okay, on this event here, it was a pretty what would you call it, a grinder, I would say, at Bone Creek.
Yeah, I mean, going into that event, I was totally expecting it to be tough conditions. I had, 2 or 3 finesse things set up. I was expecting to have to, finesse them. And, the day started and I was just kind of throwing everything I had tied on. And the only thing I got bit on was a bladed jig. And it was just a couple like short strikes. So I was like, well, maybe I'll focus on that for a little longer and see. And I had about a 2.5 hour bite window where they were just eating it, and then it just shut off and didn't catch another bass the rest of the day. So it was kind of crazy.
And you said it shut off around when?
Oh, it was probably around 10 o'clock or so in the morning. So
yeah, and nothing, so, not even a bite.
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple bites after that. I did lose one more kind of towards the end of the day, but I mean, I caught probably 8 bass in an hour and a half. Like, I mean, it was just like a couple of them were like almost every other cast. I mean, obviously I was in the right area as well.
In the right spot. Yeah.
Yeah. But,
and here's a picture of one for those of you guys that are watching live with us, and you'll see, I think this was one of the bigger ones, if not the biggest one, 18 1/4. So
yeah, that was the biggest one.
Good, healthy one there. And so he had 83 3/4 inches for the day. He had an 18, a 17 1/4, 15 1/4, and a 15. And he beat second place by, by over 20 inches. So pretty impressive win there. Everybody just struggled that day. I only caught one fish all day long, and it was early in the morning. But I think a lot of people struggled all day. You got on them early. What about that chatterbait? Is it you want to tell us a little bit about that bait in particular, or like colors, anything like that?
Yeah, I tied on white, grumpy fish, bladed jig. They're one of our sponsors of the club, of the Kansas Kayak Anglers. And, white's not normally one of my go-to colors. But, being late in the fall, thinking maybe they were chasing shad and other bait fish, I thought maybe white would be the way to go. And don't know if it would have made too much of a difference going green pumpkin or something else, but I'm glad I had the white tied on. So
seemed to be what they wanted. So yeah, shout out to Grumpy Fish Lures. They are sponsoring the club, and they've been really good to us this year. So really excited to have them on board and be able to support a local company as they support our local club. So if you guys are looking to get some jigs, spinner baits, chatter baits, he does it all. So he's got a lot of different options, and you can put in a custom order and get whatever skirt colors and everything that you want. So a lot of fish have been caught on the Grumpy Fish chatterbaits this year. It seemed like we were going through a time there where just about every tournament, first or second place, was talking about how they caught them on the Grumpy Fish chatterbaits.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Danny says he needs to get him some Grumpy Fish. I think everybody's feeling that way after getting their butts kicked by him so much. Let's see, we had Scott over here. He's talking about how he just got off the water. He's congratulating you on a dominant performance and notating that it was impressive. I would have to agree. Something else that is impressive, Mr. Scott Reese has just been killing it. I'm not surprised to find out that he's just now getting off the water, because he has been killing it on the monthlies, which we were late. I apologize, you guys. We're a good, almost 2 weeks late on announcing winners from September, but we did just announce today the winner for the month of September, and that is none other than Mr. Scott Reese. I'm going to go ahead and share this real quick so you guys can see. There we go. He had 104 inches. Okay, no, Scott was not fishing in Texas. Scott was fishing in Kansas, believe it or not. And this was the month of September. He had a 21 1/4 inch fish. He had a 21 inch fish, 20 3/4, another 20 3/4, and a 20 1/4 inch fish to make 104 inches. So he won first place. We ended up paying out second place as well. Ryan Brook, not too far behind him, 101 inches, 101.5 inches. And then big fish of the month goes to Neil Perrick, and he had a big old 21 3/4 inch fish. So a big old humpback. Didn't have a big belly on it, but that thing had some shoulders for sure. So for those of you that are not super confident in going out and catching fish in the kayak here in Kansas, there's plenty of good ones to be had. And it is funny because there was some commentary on the group there about how we need to fish some of these spots, and I get to judge these fish, and I will tell you we're fishing in some of these places these fish are coming out of. So I don't know what Scott's trick is. I think he's got a secret lure or a secret scent, or I don't know. He's got some sort of secret up his sleeve, that's for sure. But plenty of guys in the club do. They seem to be magnets to the big fish. Just like Scoochis catching a 21 incher out there at Bone Creek when everybody was struggling, including him. Let's see. Oh, that's the monthly. Okay, where is... 21 incher though he caught out there. So there was definitely bigger fish in there. We just couldn't get them to bite that day. And you had mentioned that you kind of got started doing some online stuff with KBF when you first started kayak fishing.
Yeah, for sure. Back in 2020, it was, they were kind of one of the main groups, it seemed like, and that was, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of some of the, I don't know, drama that happens in that group. I'm trying to be sensitive, but
there's a lot of drama on social media, period, I think.
Sure, there you go. But I do credit that group with getting me into it, getting a lot of people into it, and I do think the monthlies are kind of a friendly way to get into competitive kayak fishing. It's not quite as like high stress as like a single day tournament where you have to get everything right and all that. So definitely the monthlies, if there's new people out there listening in, definitely check out the monthlies. They're a lot of fun, and it encourages you to get out on the water. So
yeah, and I would imagine Scott probably put in a full day of work today, and it's kind of a cool deal where you can just kind of get out there for a few hours. I know Dakota talked about going in between like classes and stuff as he's taking college classes and just trying to sneak out and get in as much time on the water as you can. So you don't have to necessarily take a vacation day or take a whole entire day out of the weekend to go fish a tournament. Like when I went to Bone Creek, that was an all day deal. I was up at 2:30 on the road at like 3:30, and I didn't get back until 8 o'clock at night. So you don't have to do that when it comes to the monthlies. You can do an hour or two here and there. So that's kind of a cool attractive thing about it as well.
Yep, for sure.
And here is, I wanted to mention that you've been doing YouTube videos and kind of doing some videos based around it looks like a lot of them are based around your tournament fishing days. And you do have one up from Bone Creek. So if you guys want to go see exactly how it went down, you can go over there, check them out, and make sure that you subscribe to the channel while you're over there. So what do you think about the YouTube stuff so far?
Oh, it's fun. It's always just kind of nice to, have the, I just kind of let the camera roll all day basically. And, just any interesting things that happen on the water, having that on video is pretty cool to be able to go back and share or review or kind of whatever. So.
Yeah, and I went back and you told us about it at Bone Creek when we were kind of all standing around talking after the awards. You had that one fish that you broke off and he was jumping around after you had broke him off. He was completely broke off. I didn't realize that when you were telling the story. And then he's like jumping around because, I don't know, he got hooked funny or something.
But yeah, he still had the bladed jig like hanging out of his mouth, so he was trying to like throw it, I think.
Trying to get the lure out of his mouth, and you went and netted him and everything. Got your chatterbait back and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried to do that before because I've broke off like a smallmouth at Wilson, and I saw him jumping with it. And, you grab the net hoping to catch him, but never got close before. So.
That was pretty shallow, like creek situation. So he was just right there still.
Yeah, he was in like a foot of water, so I could just see him sitting down there. So
I had that happen not too long ago, but I never got close enough to it. It was in my bass boat, and I think it was a big old flathead or something. I never actually saw it, but the wake it was making and the noise it was making was way too big to be. If it was a bass, it was a huge one. So it was in El Dorado. I can't imagine it was a 10-pounder in El Dorado, but
yeah,
it was probably a big old flathead that ate my jig. Let's see here. And then, something too that I thought we would at least mention here. I don't know if we ever got into any of that, but one of the questions that guys like to ask on here is, what do you do for work?
Yeah, so I'm a software engineer by trade. So, sit on the computer all day, basically. Started a company, 7.5 years ago with a friend, kind of a real estate data company. And, we struggled for a good, 4 or 5 years. And, there were tough times for sure, but we actually started growing a lot in the last few years. And so it's been going good. We've got a team of 7 of us now. So just all remote. My partner lives in Colorado, and we've got a couple people in New York and one in Maine, so one in Florida. So, yeah.
So self-employed then.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's cool. Nice in that I've got a pretty flexible schedule, but I'm also always on call, and one of 2 developers. So if something goes wrong, pretty much always have to have my laptop with me to take a look at it. So.
People think that owning your own business is going to give you more free time, and just working for a small company, I've found out that my my boss, he's probably working harder than he ever was when he was working for somebody else.
Yep. If you want to succeed, you got to bust your butt for a lot of years. So.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm glad to see that that's going good for you.
Yeah.
Did you prepare for this tournament at all? Did you do any sort of pre-fishing or anything?
No, I fished Bone Creek twice last year. Austin and I had gone down there a couple different times, so I knew some areas. And one of those days, I fished all day long and caught like 2 15-inch bass. It was like a tough day. And then the other time I went, I probably caught close to 90 inches, including my PB at the time. It was like a 21-incher. So kind of the coves I was targeting were, where I'd caught that. And so although somebody actually, I'm not sure who it was, but somebody beat me to the cove where I'd caught that 21-incher. And so I kind of had to split off and go to like the other side. And I think I was fortunate that happened, because that's where I caught all my fish was. And once I got over to that where I originally wanted to go, I didn't catch anything over there. So
yeah,
sometimes you just get lucky too.
Right. Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah. It might have done you a favor by stealing your spot.
Yep. You never know.
Let's see. Oh, the one thing that I did want to mention too, we were talking about the Kansas Bass Nation. I don't know. We've called it a couple different things. Kayak series, kayak anglers, same thing. I think the official logo that we had made up says Kansas Bass Nation Kayak Anglers. So that's what I need to start calling it. But what I'm going to do, I actually teamed up with Legal Dope Swim Baits, Edwin. So we've had him on the podcast for those of you guys that have watched. And he is going to give us a bit of a deal on a bait. So we're gonna buy one of his baits, and then we're gonna auction it, or not auction it off, but raffle it off, and then the proceeds will go back to the club, and we'll have a little bit of extra money to help with buying like maybe an award or two next year. So this year, you were the only one that went away with like a plaque to hang on the wall. So maybe next year when we try to get a few more people out to these events, having something to take away from the event would be kind of an attractive factor as well. So if we've also toyed around with some other ideas. Anybody that's interested in fishing with the club, I'm all ears. It seems like the kayak thing is still we're kind of on our own on figuring out how we want to run this thing. There's no strict you have to do it this way rules or anything like that. So we're just kind of winging it here. But if anybody has any ideas, shoot me a message or something, and we'll definitely entertain it. But trying to do some stuff to get more people out to these events, and the more people we have out, like I say, the more people that'll qualify. And maybe next year we'll be able to send 2 or 3 guys out there and represent the state. And it's a really attractive thing for the boaters, like the Bass Boat Club, and a lot of guys go out there wanting to qualify for that. So we have essentially the same opportunity. We have the opportunity to fish the one of the ultimate kayak fishing tournaments in the entire country. That's held in conjunction with the Bassmaster Classic. So Tim, you actually have an opportunity to walk across the same stage, which is a pretty cool thing to do.
Yeah, totally.
And, so I'm sure there's some big money involved in there, some big trophies, all that stuff's cool too. But did you? Oh, he's asking here. Danny's asking what your PB is.
PB is still 22 inches from Wilson last year. So
Wow.
in a period of like an hour and a half, I broke my PB twice during the Wilson tournament in 2021. I caught a 21 and a half, and then probably 40 minutes later caught a 22. So
Wow.
Yeah, that day was the craziest day of fishing I've ever had. So it was didn't catch a lot of fish, but caught several big ones. So
Did it win the tournament?
Yeah.
And what was that limit? What'd that look like? Do you remember?
I want to say it was 91 3/4 maybe, or 92. I think I still had a 15 on my
Okay.
board that I couldn't get rid of. I think I had a 17 or 2. But yeah, it wasn't a numbers day. I think I only caught 6 fish total, but caught the right ones.
I did notice the background picture on your YouTube channel appears to be Wilson.
Yeah, that's the
Is that one
Oto
of your
boat ramp.
favorites?
Yeah. I mean, I just love the lake. I mean, I've only fished it now, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, but yeah, it's just such a beautiful place, and the quality of the fish is just so good. I mean, there's just so many 16 and 17-inch fish in there, so even on tough days, you usually catch some pretty good fish. So
yeah, and water clarity. Like, do you like the clear water? I mean, Bone Creek was pretty clear, wasn't it?
Yeah. Most of the areas I was in had at least 3 to 4 feet of visibility. I don't know. I think in terms of visibility, I don't know. You get less than 6 inches, and it starts to get tough. And I don't know, I fished a Moyak event at Table Rock in, I don't remember what, earlier this year. And there's some areas in there where it's pretty clear as well.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Did you
I don't
do
know, I
well
think it's
there?
just a little, nah, just kind of middle of the pack. Kind of struggled to find any size. It was mostly just, 14, 15-inch spotted bass is what I was finding. So,
Yeah, not a ton of clear water around here. There's only seems to be like a handful of lakes where you can really find that real clean water. At least around here. I don't know if that's any different in your neck of the woods.
yeah, for the most part, some of the state lakes that have a ton of grass in them, that grass really filters out the water, and
Mm-hmm.
you can have 4 to 5 feet of visibility on, some of those, but none of the big lakes have any sort of visibility like that. So
Yeah, was Perry? Is Perry very clear? Or is it pretty dirty?
I mean, on a good day, it's, 1.5 foot of visibility
Yeah,
maybe.
so
And the
nothing.
further north you get, it, drops way off, like where all the creeks and rivers flow in. So
Yeah. Scott says, very impressive. I seem to get lost in bigger water. I grew up on farm ponds, and it's a whole different ballgame.
I totally agree. Perry is a perfect example of that. Like, because that's pretty much Clinton, I guess, is a little bit closer than Perry for me, but Clinton just doesn't have very many bass in it. But I probably went out to Perry 20 plus times before I even started to figure it out. Like, I mean, it was just like, where do you go? You go to this area that looks good and there's just no bass there. And then, you go somewhere else and you start to figure things out. But yeah, the big water just takes time to figure out. So
Was that so? That was something kind of new for you when you got into the kayak thing. Like you never really fished out of a boat much, or
yeah, not really at all. So, and kind of starting out with the monthlies and KBF, it was, focused on, small ponds where you could easily catch big fish, and, maybe the state lakes that are pretty easy to get in and out of. So,
so KK. Well, I guess you were doing the Flint Hill stuff, so they had some of the
mhm,
bigger ones like Wilson on there, and
yeah.
but KKA pretty much focused on all big lakes this year
Yep.
for the
Yeah.
most part.
Besides, I guess, Timber Creek's kind of mid-size, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's kind of a new element that we added. In years past, a lot of the running as separate individual smaller clubs, like you tried to focus on each area, and typically we were getting less people coming out and fishing, so you could get away with fishing some of those smaller bodies of water. But if we're going to have 40, 30, 40 guys, or 50 or 60 guys out there, we can't. Yeah, we kind of got to rule out those couple 100-acre lakes.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
but it definitely added a new element, and some people will figure it out and some people won't. But I like the I like the idea of trying to figure it out. Anyways, I'm not sure that I'll figure it out, but I'm sure going to try.
Yeah, well, it's also nice to be out on the water with a bunch of other people and see how they do. Because like sometimes you're like, am I in the wrong spot? Is it, bad day? Or, so when you can compare how you're doing to other people in a tournament, that makes it easier to learn, right? Be like, okay, I obviously was in the wrong area because I didn't catch anything here, and most people were down at the marina or, at El Dorado, or
Yeah,
so it can kind
that
of
was
help
kind of the
teach
deal
you a
there,
little bit.
wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
We were in the wrong spot that day.
Yeah. I started out up at the train tracks and it was, like an inch of visibility. And so,
Yeah, yeah, and then I ran into you up at the Sailboat Cove area, I believe,
yeah,
and it wasn't any better over there, I don't think, as far as visibility goes.
it's a couple inches. That was not much better. So,
Yeah, but
yeah.
they did pretty good at that one. Yeah, so that was one where you say, yeah, I was just in the wrong area, and you try not to beat yourself up too bad, I guess.
Yep.
But what do you think about the schedule that we had for KKA? Do you think we rule out like an El Dorado, or maybe in that one in particular? What do you think about El Dorado? I guess.
I mean, I want to fish it again. I mean,
Yeah.
my wife's family lives in Wichita, so we drive down the turnpike, you know,
Okay.
once every month or two, and I just driving across, seeing all that, timber, and it looks like it should be a good lake, but I'd never fished it until that tournament. So, and seeing some of those numbers that were put up, um, I'm willing to give it another shot. So,
Yeah. Yeah. There was some good ones. I can't remember what won it, but I think it was in the mid '80s or something like that.
yeah, at least
Maybe higher. Maybe was it in the '90s even? It might have been in the
it
'90s.
it might have been a 91. I don't.
Yeah. Better than I think a lot of people thought. But Cedar Bluff. Any other potential add-ons? Have you fished Cedar Bluff?
No, it's on my list to check out, but I have not.
I know that was one that was mentioned when people were talking about what lakes we should visit. Is there any that weren't on the list that you would like to see?
Um, I think I don't remember if it was Todd or somebody had mentioned what the Northeast guys did a couple years ago with Kritzer and Mound City, where you could fish either of those lakes because they're just a few miles apart. And, there were a couple different 90-inch limits that came out of those. I like those lakes a lot, but they're smaller, and that'd be an interesting one. So
I've never been on either one of them, but I think that is a cool concept. Yeah, fish either one of them.
yeah,
Um, well, let's see here. I'm gonna go over my notes here and just make sure I'm not. Oh, what about technology? Are you using like live scope or anything, or what are you using for electronics?
no, I just got a Garmin 93 SV or whatever, just normal side and down imaging, um, and I'm usually a shallow water guy, so I don't
Okay.
use it a whole lot in terms of looking for offshore brush piles or things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I I'll use the mapping to look for channel swings and maybe steeper drop off areas, things like that. But yeah, usually I'm up in 10 feet or less of water anyway, and um, that's one of the things I'd like to get better at is some of that deeper water fishing. Just I mean, I struggled at a Big Hill this year because it was just so hot, and I think you know the fish were either buried up in the grass or they had pulled off into 15 feet of water probably where it's a little cooler, and I just couldn't find them. So
Yeah. Yeah. At that point, I have to go shallow, and I'll pretty much live and die by it, and that day I was able to catch some fish. I didn't do great, but the ones that the ones that I caught were all but on the bank.
yeah,
They were definitely up there in the grass trying to stay cool, I guess. Get a
yeah,
little bit of a break from the sun.
yep, um,
Let's see here.
yeah. I was talking about the how I had the trolling motor on the Bonafide. I'm toying with the idea of adding a Newport to the Hobie before Chickamauga, just to be able to cover a lot of water,
Yeah.
pre-fishing, and kind of move around a little quicker. So may go that route.
Get another one, another trolling motor. Or did you say you still had it?
No, I don't have one at all right now.
Thinking about
So
getting one.
yeah,
That would probably be a little bit more handy in that situation than most of the lakes around here. I mean, heck, Wilson or El Dorado. I mean, um, but still, getting around on that lake, you probably don't want to try to use a trolling motor to get across either of those, unless you're just kind of moving
yeah,
along the bank or something. A lot of boat traffic on those lakes for sure. Have you done any multi-species kayak fishing yet, or sticking to the bass
Not
for the most part?
not from a tournament standpoint. I mean, obviously, catch a whole lot of different species. Pretty good at catching drum
There
at
you
this
go.
point.
I'm great at it.
Yeah. For Scott's comment there, I did catch about a 6-pound channel cat at Bone Creek this weekend. So it was probably my biggest fish I caught there. So,
Hey,
but
that's
no,
a good one.
yeah, no huge, blues or flatheads or anything like that. So,
Oh yeah. Um, well, I just wanted to make sure we didn't have anything on here that I'm just completely forgetting to cross off the list. I did mention the fundraiser deal. So yeah, if you guys are interested, I will be posting up a kind of putting together a list on that. If you guys are interested in getting into a big swim bait, and these actually aren't real big, but they definitely bigger than like conventional tackle. But you'll have an opportunity to win one. We'll do like a $20 entry. Um, and it'll be like 10 entries, that we'll do on that. So you'll have a 1 in 10 chance at winning one of these baits, and the club will get some money out of the deal. So somebody will get a $160 bait for $20, so pretty cool deal. Um, got that out of the way. Something that you did mention, I didn't want to make a huge deal out of it, but some people might have some questions. You've kind of been uh, facing some circumstances that might make getting out on the water a little bit tougher. You want to go into any of that?
yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. And, maybe if there's other people out there going through things like that, it might help them as well. But yeah, I've been battling cancer pretty much all this year. Kind of started out in April. I got some weird like double vision in my eyes, and at first they just thought it was my vision getting bad as I get older, but then kind of got worse, and they realized there was like a tumor in my face, basically, kind of in my sinuses and up to the edge of my brain, and so went through some chemotherapy to try to shrink things down, and just about 3 weeks ago, or 3.5 weeks ago, went through like a huge surgery to remove the tumor, and so haven't really posted publicly about it a whole lot. Obviously friends and family and stuff know, but
Yeah.
it kind of, for me, I've just tried to stay as active as possible. I mean, my prognosis is good. It's pretty serious as because it's a pretty advanced case, but having pretty good underlying health and good doctors and things like that. I think the prognosis is good, and hopefully by middle of December we'll be mostly through it. So,
Good.
but so yeah, just keep trying to stay active, get out on the water, you know, do what you can. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you think that having that outlet has been maybe a good thing for you? I mean, more of a mental thing probably than anything, I would think.
yeah, for sure. For me, like besides fishing, my other like big activity I like to do is running, and those two things are kind of like my mental like stress relief. When you're
Yeah.
out on the water fishing, it's almost hard to think about like any problems
Anything
you're dealing
else?
with. Yeah, it's just like you're focused on like why aren't
Yeah.
they fish fighting? So it's like
Yeah.
um, so yeah, definitely that's been a huge help for sure. So
Probably a
uh,
pretty similar thing with running, I would imagine.
yeah, for sure.
Your
So
brain's
definitely,
just
I
like
think just yeah, kind
occupied
of
with trying to breathe and
right.
keep you alert, to everything else that's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
But
So
yeah, definitely out there on the water. That is the time that I have to like just clear my mind and yeah, I'm really not thinking about anything except for what is going on at that very moment in time. So,
yeah, yeah,
and then you
it's
did
nice
say
for sure.
that even just the exercise aspect of it, you noticed that you were feeling a little bit better after you kicked all of our butts out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. As part of my surgery, they had to like take some muscle and bone from my left leg to kind of rebuild my my face. And so I've had like some swelling in my ankle, and haven't been sleeping very good. And after that Bone Creek day, the swelling had gone down to my ankle, and I slept like a baby that night. So I think I need to get out on the water more, and maybe get a prescription for daily fishing from the doctors.
Like, yeah, you might have to join in on the next monthly.
Yeah.
Give you an excuse to be out there searching for those 21 plus inch fish.
Yeah, I've not caught anything over like 20 and a quarter, I think, since that 22 at Wilson. So, I mean, I catch a
Yeah,
lot of like 18 to 20-inch fish, but those real big ones just are always elusive for me. So,
same here. Same here. Somebody mentioned Council Grove Lake. I have heard some good things about that one. I'm trying to remember if it's the City Lake that somebody was telling me has a. I think it's the City Lake is the one that has all the docks on it. Have you ever
I'm not
fished out
sure.
there?
No, I haven't.
I think it's supposed to be pretty good for bass. I'd have to look and see what size that one is, but might be worth looking at. And if not for KKA, maybe one of the smaller clubs. I would like to get the Air Capital Kayak Anglers fishing a couple smaller tournaments next year. Probably not doing a full blown, 8 event series or anything like that, but doing a couple to help introduce new people, to the sport that might not be as intimidating as doing the KKA thing, because we've got some hammers in that group, that's for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. We've been still doing a few kind of league nights, through the former Flint Hills group up here. So
Yeah,
that's another good kind of easy access for new people to check things out. So
yeah, doing like the league night things, and they've been doing those like on a Saturday or Sunday or something like that here recently with the weather
yeah,
change. Or
yeah, I think recently they've moved those over to Sundays. They were on Tuesday nights, I think. So
and is that always the same lake, or what are they doing there?
we were rotating through 4 different lakes, like Perry, Lake Shawnee over in Topeka, Shawnee State Fishing Lake, and Lone Star, which is kind of south of Lawrence here. I'm not quite sure what they've been doing for Sunday ones. If they're still going through that same rotation or just kind of random. It's usually, turnout's pretty small, but it's still good to get out and hang out and fish with some good people for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I think next year we kind of talked about it a little bit at the end of the championship there. Um, Kind of make it more of a social event. Maybe do some like food or something at the end of the day. And I know we could all use some food to kind of get our energy back up. I think we neglect that a little bit out there on the water. I know I do,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
sun beats you up. And even Saturday, I mean, it was chilly, but by the end of the day, I think that sun had got to me, and I
yeah.
was probably didn't drink enough water, but maybe come back to like a greasy cheeseburger or something, a hot dog or something like that might do us some good before we hit the road and go back home and part ways.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that will be cool too. Somebody mentions Pony Creek, which I've actually never been there. I'm not sure how big it is. Um,
Yeah, I haven't either. Supposedly there's some pretty good fish in there.
yeah,
I think the Flint Hills group had some tournaments there, but I don't know if it's big enough for a 40 plus person event or not.
yeah, that one's like up north, somewhere around. I guess it says Sabetha. Yeah, and that one's pretty far north.
Yeah.
Probably not too far. Maybe within an hour of Nebraska, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty small, 171 acres. So that one wouldn't quite be big enough. What was Winfield? That one was pretty cramped, didn't you think?
Yeah, it wasn't terrible, but I mean, it seemed like people were pretty concentrated on that south side.
Where did you
Like
fish
a
on that one?
thousand. Basically, the whole south bank from the dam, basically, not all the way to the creek, but probably 2/3 of the way there. So I caught most of mine like first thing in the morning in the rain, like right off a point, um, kind of by the dam and boat ramp up there. Got a few upgrades later in the day further to the east.
Yeah. Sorry, I had some weird comments going on, and I was trying to get them out of here before they turned into something they shouldn't. We've had some, I don't know what the deal is, but some people find us on YouTube and they'll start saying weird stuff. So looked like that was what that was going to turn into there. Somebody says they saw bait fish getting corralled at Lake Shawnee last week on the dam. Too bad I was just out for a walk. Wheat State Fishing says they must be talking about Pony Creek, that it's super clear and they've got 5-pounders. And Wiper as well, I've heard. Heard they got some good Wipers.
For reference, Winfield City Lake is 1,250 acres.
1,250. So yeah. So we need to keep that in mind because there was a few guys that kind of commented on the size of it, and I don't think we had 30 guys, did we? I don't remember.
It wasn't over 30. It was 25 or 30 probably.
Yeah. I'm curious now. But yeah, we definitely need to keep that in mind when we're doing these tournaments, because we definitely saw some lakes get overcrowded on, when we're running them at the smaller club levels, fishing those like 100, 200 acre lakes. Those obviously are going to fill up pretty quick. Yeah, 25 is what we had.
Okay.
25 anglers out there. So, yeah, we probably won't fish that one again next year. What are some of your goals for next year? Obviously, you're going to go fish this big tournament. Do you plan on branching out otherwise in any more of the like national events, or what are your plans as far as like the tournament scene goes?
Yeah, I mean, part of it'll depend on, once all the schedules get released. I definitely would like to do, several 2 to 3, kind of national type events, either Hobie BOS or Bass or something. Just because it's fun to go to those destination lakes. Obviously, try to do most of the KK events as well. My goal is just to try to be a little bit more consistent. I had several really good tournaments this year, and I had several really crappy ones. So just try. I think when the conditions are tough, I struggle. So I need to, I think, get out when the conditions are tough more and learn to, fish when, it's post-frontal conditions or, really cold, or, my first event of the year was the All-American Kayak Series down at Lake Palestine, and I didn't catch a single bass. I mean, it was like terrible, terrible conditions. We drove through sleet to get there, and the water temps had dropped 10 degrees over the past week. And I mean, I think half the field didn't catch a fish at all, but still, I'd like to get better at tough conditions. So.
Yeah. And that was the bass, one of the opens or whatever.
That one was the All-American.
Oh, series. All-American.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Daniel just mentioned that Big Hill and Timber Creek are the same size, which it looks like they are. And actually, Timber Creek, where did I just see that Big Hill was 1,240 acres? So Timber Creek or Winfield, whatever you want to call it, might be, slightly bigger. 1,240 acres, Big Hill. I would not have guessed that.
Yeah. Big Hill seems bigger.
Seems bigger. Maybe, I don't know, the way it's laid out, I guess.
I mean, from my experience on Big Hill, though, obviously I think there's areas that have better fish that, I mean, I caught decent fish all the way down towards the dam, and so I think you can catch fish all over Big Hill. And it seemed like Timber Creek, it was like, I don't know, it was more limited on the areas that held fish from my limited experience there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's a tougher lake. Timber Creek is. It's not known to be, just like the best bass lake. Like Big Hill's kind of one of those. I think one of the best,
Yeah.
one of the best bass lakes probably in the state. Um, see crazy limits come out of there. Seems like just about every time, and you have a lot of tournaments and stuff that are on there as well, and it doesn't seem to affect that a whole lot. So there's definitely something to be said about that. I would agree. Um, but I think you can probably catch fish all over Timber Creek as well. It seemed like after talking to the guys that fished it, people definitely did catch fish all over. Um, I was kind of over there by myself on I don't know my directions, but I guess I was on the north side of of the of the dam, fishing those coves, and I fished all the way from that first one all the way up to like the swim beach area,
Okay.
and caught a few. I didn't catch any big ones though, so
Yeah.
not much to be said about that. But clear water there.
Yeah.
Some pretty good clear water where you were fishing.
Yeah. It wasn't, I don't remember for sure, but definitely probably close to a couple feet. So not
Yeah.
too bad.
Heck yeah. Well, definitely looking forward to seeing you go out there and represent for the state crew.
Yeah.
Fishing Chickamauga, that'll be a big one, and I'm sure we'll see you back at the KKA level. And you mentioned earlier before we started recording, you've got a couple second place trophies, so I'm assuming that looking for some first next year.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. There's some tough competition in the club, so it'd be pretty sweet. But
maybe figure out those bigger fish and get you some big bass trophies along the way.
That's right. Definitely
But
need a big swim bait.
there you go. Heck yeah. I don't know. I like to throw them, but I attract the small ones on the swim baits too somehow. So
Yeah, for sure.
they will eat the swim baits as well. Casual Bass Guy says that we should do an MLF style tournament in November.
Yeah, those are fun.
Are you like, do you think you would do well in that style of an event? Like, would you take more of a finesse approach in something like that just for the numbers, or?
Probably. We did one of those last year up here at one of the state lakes, and I think we went with a 12-inch length limit, which made it interesting because you go too finessey, you catch a bunch of, that's what I was catching was 10 inchers. I mean, I caught a crap load of them, but I didn't do very well because I didn't catch enough 12 plus. So I think it depends on the lake probably. So
Yeah. It seems like I think they did one not too long ago up there in Nebraska, and I think Marty Hughes won it, and I don't know, he probably caught, close to 100 fish or something stupid, but he busts out that Nico rig, and that seems to produce for him. That's for sure. But, okay, well, other than, I guess, since there wasn't a ton of baits that you caught them on at this event, what are some of your other baits that you have done well on and maybe have the most confidence in throughout this last year?
Yeah, I mean, the Ned rig is always tied on like 100% of the time. That's kind of a confidence bait, especially early in the season. Fishing on riprap, smallmouth. Definitely always have a Ned rig tied on. That's why I catch a bunch of drum as well. But I actually did well. It's not really a bait I fish a lot, but for some reason at Wilson, the buzz bait was doing it for me. I caught quite a few on the buzz bait, like up shallow. So that's kind of a new one that I'm throw in a little bit more. I've not fished it this year hardly at all, but like last year I did really well at Perry fishing a Nico rig for smallmouth. So because I could,
Yeah.
fish the riprap, and the Nico rig wouldn't sink down into the rocks as bad as like a Ned rig would. So you had less, snags. So
Yeah.
did pretty good there. But
Heck yeah.
um,
You said the buzz bait was kind of a newer one that you added to the arsenal, or?
yep. This year, I just caught very few on it before this year, so it's kind of a new one. I've been catching them on this year. So
That was my only fish came on a buzz bait at at Bone Creek.
oh really? I threw it a bunch and didn't get a single hit. So
Yeah, I caught one, and then I had another bite on it, and that was the only action I had all day. Other than I had some small ones following my glide bait around. So I wasn't too upset when they didn't bite. I was just hoping that a big one would come peek out,
right.
but never saw that happen. So, but all right, man. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get the kids to bed. But I appreciate you coming on here tonight. Thanks for fishing with us this year, and
Yeah, it's been great.
congrats on the win. That's a pretty sweet accomplishment to be able to go fish that event, and I hope to see you do well out there, and maybe get on a PB or something like that while you're out there.
That would be awesome. I'll have my camera rolling, so we'll get a video of it if so. So
Heck yeah! So if you guys haven't already, make sure you go check him out. I did bump a screenshot up there at one point, which I can do again, and you can go check out Segraves Fishing over there on YouTube, and he's got actually quite a few videos up there already, and he will be posting more as time goes on. So make sure you tune in there if you guys are wanting to go fish some of these events with us next year. You might even be able to get a little bit of intel off of these things.
yeah.
I don't think he's learned out any backgrounds or anything at this point.
No, I'm pretty open with kind of where and how I fish, because I think every day is different, right? So
Yeah, I would agree. All right, man. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to say, or anybody you want to shout out before we call it a night?
no, just thanks for doing this and kind of helping run all of these different events, and it's been fun for sure. So
Heck yeah. All right, man. Well, maybe we'll see you before the end of the year. I don't know. I was thinking maybe I might do one of these online tournaments before it starts to get too cold, and I was even thinking about putting on like a live event. I don't think in most years, I don't think November would be too late to do something. It'll definitely get a little bit cooler, but we'll have a lot of really nice days to get out on the water for sure.
yeah,
So, all right, man. Well, you have a good evening.
cool. You too. Take care.
All right. See you.
All right, later.
All right, guys. So that is number 60, episode number 60. And that was Tim Segraves. He is a Kansas kayak angler. He is a Flint Hills kayak angler. And he is the Kansas Bass Nation state championship, or state champion, sorry. And he's going to be able to go fish the Chickamauga event in March, I believe it was, and he's going to represent the state there. So it really is an honor to be able to do that, and hopefully over the years we can grow that group and get more people interested and be able to get more people qualified. And the more people that we have, the bigger the payout at the end of the year will be, and the more expenses it'll cover. So as we are doing it now, it's probably going to cover the angler's gas. It might cover like some camping fees and stuff. Like, I'm not sure he's going to be able to go spend a week in a nice hotel or anything like that. But the cool thing about us kayak anglers is that we're fairly low maintenance, I guess you could say, and you see a lot of people that are camping at these events, and I believe Tim might even have like a tent on the top of his truck, so he's probably not against doing something like that. So. Okay, sorry, got sidetracked there on some comments, but apparently they're doing pretty good down there right now in Tennessee. Says 26.5 caught today in Tennessee for the KBF national tournament. I don't know. Is that pounds? I guess. So I don't know what you would call that in inches, but I would imagine that'd be over 100 inches. So lots of good fish to be caught down there. Excited to see Tim post that video when the time comes, and make sure if you haven't already that you subscribe to his channel over there, Segraves Fishing on YouTube. Go hit that subscribe button. And guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Super excited to be growing this sport, and we're going to have an even better year next year. Hopefully we'll be able to send a couple people down to that event. But if you guys are interested, hit me up on Facebook, shoot me a message. It's Kansas Kayak Anglers. Or if you want to be involved in the event that Tim won, it is Kansas Bass Nation Kayak Series. So guys, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. See you on the next one. And you guys have a good one.